The Honda Jazz is a car which has a bit of an unfair stigma attached to it as being a car for only old people. And that is a shame because underneath that stigma, it's a fantastic car. It has tons of practicality, it's really good to drive, and it also has brilliant visibility. It's also fantastic for mobility people as well, with it having a great ride height and somewhere to put your wheelchair. So, should the Honda Jazz just be for old people, or should young people start buying them as well? Well, hopefully that's what I'm going to find out in today's video. Hi guys, I'm Tish and welcome back to the John Banks Review channel. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the latest generation of Honda Jazz, telling you the changes and why it's slightly higher in price than it previously was. So if you want to find out all the answers to those questions, then please keep watching. And if you do like new car reviews and car content, then make sure you hit the subscribe button. Plus, if at any point you had any questions or queries about the Honda Jazz or anything else in the Honda range, then you can get in contact with our John Banks sales associates via the link down below. Right, so first off, let's talk about some visual changes, because in 2023, the Honda Jazz had a slight facelift. Previously, around the front of the car, you almost had a blanked off front grille. Now, first of all, this was kind of to hint at its hybrid technology. But as Honda started to release electric cars, they realised that it possibly looked a little bit too much like an EV, and they wanted to stand it out from the rest of their EV range. So they introduced a new front grille. You now have this almost crisscross design grille, and at the bottom on this sport model, you've got a gloss black bottom diffuser. This, to me, looks a lot better. In its sport trim, it's actually quite appealing. I really like the contrasting colours. You've got the gloss black bumper, and then you've also got these two-tone alloy wheels. Now, if you're worried about ride comfort, then possibly the sport model isn't for you. It looks great, but on those slightly larger wheels, you are going to feel potholes and it's going to be a bit more bumpy. So I'd go for a lower trim level with the smaller alloy wheels if you want to have a more comfortable drive. But in terms of appearance, it looks great. You've got some really big front headlamps, and everything on the Jazz has been set up to make it easy to drive and to have fantastic visibility. And that's why you've got a massive front screen, you've got glass around the corners so there's no blind spots, and you've got glass surrounding the car as well, and you've also got those massive front headlamps, so at night that's going to brighten everything up. And it also comes with automatic high beam assist because the Jazz is very well specified. Changes around the rear of the car are a little more subtle, and its design remains simple and inoffensive. I have actually spent some time with a Honda Jazz, and I spent some time with the Crossstar, which is the slightly more rugged SUV styling vehicle. But this version is the Sport, and I have to say, the interior on this is fantastic. The thing that was missing from the Crossstar was something to brighten up the cabin, something like yellow stitching. On the Sport version, you have this fantastic yellow stitching which runs down the imitation leather, and then you have those fantastic, nice kind of grey material seats down the middle. You also get an almost suede effect on these as well, and it makes them so comfortable. They're also really squidgy as well. Now, that's not to say that the Crossstar doesn't have its own selling point, and that's that the seats are actually wipeably clean. Though they are cloth, they're actually stain resistant, so if you drop things on them, they're not going to mark them, which I think is fantastic. You get really nice amounts of storage, including a foldable armrest with storage in there. You've got one cup holder in the middle here, but you've also got two on the dashboard, which I think is really good because then it puts it right where you put your arm, and it sits it near the air vents. So it means that it keeps your cups warm. The steering wheel is nice. Once again, it's leather wrapped, and you've got that contrasting yellow stitching to give it a pop of colour. The layout is brilliant as well. You've got a really easy to use touchscreen, which comes with satellite navigation, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and you get physical climate control dials as well. I know a lot of people are going to love those, and they're really easy to use even when driving. The only thing is the screen is facing completely forward rather than towards the driver, which means it's a little bit difficult to use when driving. You also get some nice features, including this space above the dashboard, which gives you enough space, as you can see there, for the locking wheel nut box. But you do still also get a conventional glove box underneath as well. It's just really handy. You also get nice buttons on the steering wheel, which add a bit of gloss black. It makes it feel a bit more premium. Overall, it's just a really practical and appealing layout. The Jazz's 304 litre boot sets it a little way off of the Ford Fiesta with 311 litres, and quite a bit away from the Clio, which has a huge 391. The load lip may make getting items in and out a little trickier than rivals that have an adjustable boot floor. So boot space is not ideal, but Honda have more than made up for it with the space in the rear of the car. This is where they've put all of their attention. You see, the doors open nice and wide, so it's easy to load in child seats or wheelchairs. And I say wheelchairs because normally you'd think about putting those in the boot, but in the Honda Jazz it has a very clever feature different to all car makers, which make it very practical, and that's these rear seats. They actually fold all the way upwards, and that reveals a massive load area, which you can put in taller items, longer items. It really does leave you with so many opportunities for storage. So the rear is great for loading items, but what about for people sitting in here? Well, just like the front, you've got those brilliant padded seats. It's so comfortable, and I've also got loads of headroom, plenty of legroom. This car is set up for my driving position, and as you can see, somebody 6 foot could easily sit behind me. I've also got 2 USB-C chargers, which is not always a given in this class of car. The only thing it is missing is perhaps any additional storage in the centre with a pull-out armrest, and this middle seat isn't the most practical. It sits up quite high and it's quite narrow, so sitting in the middle wouldn't be ideal for long journeys. But as a 4-seater car, I think it's fantastic. If you're in the market for a Honda Jazz and you already have an existing Jazz, you may have noticed, like a lot of cars nowadays, it has increased in price. So what is this price increase down to? Well, there's a few things. There's the obvious things like the technology advancements and also the safety technology. The Honda Jazz comes with pretty much every bit of safety tech you'd need. Like lane assist, you also get anti-collision warning, adaptive cruise control, and on the higher specification models, you also get blind spot sensors. But it's not just all down to the technology. Well, kind of is, but a different type of technology, and that's what's underneath the bonnet. The Honda Jazz runs off of a 1.5 litre petrol engine, but it has hybrid technology, strong hybrid technology. And what that means is without having to plug the Jazz in, you can run on full electric alone. You see, it has a small battery which is recharged by your driving. You pop the car into brake mode and this will automatically slow the car as you come off of the accelerator, putting energy back into the battery. This is really handy as it gives you a seriously good fuel economy. This car can do up to 60 miles per gallon, and that's without even trying. And it does around 550 to 600 miles on a full tank, which is fantastic and very convenient. One of the key areas of focus for Honda with the Jazz is to make it as easy to drive as possible, and that means you get a really high seating position and you get a massive front windscreen so you can see completely around you in this vehicle, making it really easy to park. If you're still struggling with seeing out of the car, you also get a rear view camera as standard, so easy. It also just is very easy in the way that it drives. Because you don't have a conventional gearbox, they've swapped the CVT for an e-CVT. This means it doesn't have gears, not in the conventional sense. And it's a very, very smooth drive, especially around town. You see, when you're driving around town, the Jazz will actually drive in electric most of the time, and that gives you a really quiet and serene feel. It's set up for comfort as well, so it's really comfortable, but that does have a slight trade-off, and that's the fact that it doesn't feel very sporty to drive. It does slightly clunk over bumps, and it's not exactly the best at handling twisty B roads, but that's not really what this car's been designed for. So the Honda Jazz is a car which works perfectly for people who aren't the most confident drivers or don't have the best mobility. You've got those great rear magic seats for popping wheelchairs and other items into the back. You've got the higher ride height and that massive front windscreen, which makes it so easy to drive. But how does it fare up for younger drivers? Well, I think with this new sport trim, they really have made it look a lot more visually appealing. I love the contrasting colours and I love those diamond effect wheels. But does it have the cool factor? Maybe not. But I don't think any Honda Jazz will have the cool factor. And as a practical car for younger people, it's brilliant. If I had a job where I needed to be getting loads of items into the back and I wanted something which was easy to drive and jump in and out of, it doesn't really get much better than this. But let me know, what do you think of the Honda Jazz? Pop it in the comments down below. If you have enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more, then subscribe to the John Banks Review channel. Plus, if you had any questions or queries, or if you wanted to take the Honda Jazz for a spin, then you can do that via our Honda dealerships down in the description box. I really hope you have enjoyed the video. Until next time, guys, see you later.